My fiancé left me for the neighbor's daughter, but his father secretly rewrote his will, leaving everything to me. My fiancé abandoned me for the neighbor's daughter, but his father secretly modified his will due to his disgust with his son's behavior. I, a 28-year-old female, can't believe I'm writing this. I've been gazing at my laptop for hours, trying to make sense of what happened. I met James, 30 male, at a tech company 5 years ago. I had recently moved to Boston for a job after finishing college in Seattle. James worked in product development, while I was in marketing. He was charming, successful, and appeared great. We started as pals. James would converse at my work during coffee breaks, and we finally had lunch together. 6 months later, he asked me out on a date. I was apprehensive about office connections, but he made them seem natural. We dated for 3 years before becoming engaged. I became close to his parents, Tom, 58 male, and Sarah, 55 female, who treated me like a daughter. They had no other children, and Sarah was overjoyed to gain a daughter. Their beautiful historic home, passed down through generations, became the setting for our Sunday family dinners. During one of these dinners, James proposed with his grandmother's ring, and Sarah presented me with a family necklace as a formal welcome. The wedding planning process was flawless. James' parents insisted on donating, despite the fact that my family was already covered. Sarah assisted with everything, from dress fittings to decor, and bonded with my mother. Everything felt wonderful in the week leading up to the wedding. James appeared excited, so we arranged a honeymoon to Europe, which his parents generously offered us. At the rehearsal dinner, James delivered a moving speech about our future. Sarah hugged me, proud of having me as her daughter-in-law. Tom appeared emotional, despite his reserved demeanor. On the wedding day, as I was getting ready, James' best man arrived, visibly apprehensive. He handed me a message from James, stating he couldn't do it and wanted time to think things through. I called James, but his phone was turned off. His best man admitted that James had left early in the morning. The aftermath was chaotic. My parents rushed to cancel everything. James' parents were stunned. Sarah attempted to reach him, but Tom looked glum, almost unsurprised. I sat in my wedding dress for hours, devastated. The guests were sent home, and all we had prepared went to waste. My parents wasted thousands in non-refundable deposits. 2 days later, when I was still in bed, a friend sent me an Instagram screenshot. James had shared a photo with Kelly, 26 female, a neighbor's daughter who resided 3 homes down from his parents. They were obviously together, looking happy and comfortable in what appeared to be her residence. Kelly had always been there at family functions because she lived so near to James's parents. The caption said, "Sometimes the right path isn't the easy one." I never noticed that she frequently joined us for Sunday dinners with her parents. She was constantly nice, inquiring about the wedding plans and even offering to assist with the arrangements. Now I understand why she was so interested in the details. I found out from common friends that James and Kelly had been seeing each other behind my back for months. They apparently became close after she joined the local tennis club where James played. They had been practicing early in the morning before going to work. What hurts more than James' betrayal is his parents' reaction. Instead of being furious with him, they embraced his new relationship. Sarah called me a week after the wedding catastrophe, not to apologize or check on me, but to explain why I shouldn't be upset with James' decision. She claimed Kelly was a better match for James because her family had connections in the computer world. Kelly's father had a thriving software company, and James was certain to receive a sizable share of the family business one day. Sarah had the nerve to imply that, while they liked me, they needed to consider James's future, and Kelly could provide him with better prospects. She noted that sometimes parents must support their children's decisions, even if they appear harsh to others. The mother who had cried with excitement when I announced my engagement and helped me arrange every detail of my wedding was suddenly acting as if I were simply a stepping stone on her son's journey to prosperity. Then came an unexpected twist. James' father's attorney phoned me 2 weeks after the wedding. Tom updated his will 2 months before the wedding. The lawyer indicated that Tom saw through James's actions and was repulsed by them. He gave me documents demonstrating that Tom had left everything, the family business, properties, and investments, to me rather than James. This was done in secret, without anyone's knowledge, including Sarah. When I questioned the lawyer why Tom would do this, he explained that he had been seeing James' behavior shift over the previous year. He hired a private investigator to investigate some of his suspicions. The lawyer brought me a letter Tom had written to explain everything. Tom had learned James' tendency of exploiting others to his advantage and was ashamed of the guy his son had become. The letter stated that he observed how sincere and hardworking I was and believed I would be a better steward of the family legacy than his own son. I have not notified anyone about the will yet, even my parents. James and his mother still believe he is going to inherit everything. I'm simply trying to digest everything while watching them enjoy his new relationship with Kelly as if nothing happened. Sarah publishes images of them together on Facebook, expressing her joy that her son has discovered his true love. The toughest part is witnessing my almost mother-in-law, who I assume loved me like a daughter, act as if I never existed. Update 1. The last 2 weeks have been an absolute disaster. Just when I thought things couldn't get much worse, I discovered new lies and betrayals that made my head spin. Yesterday, I learned that James' parents mortgaged their historic family house shortly after our engagement. They took out a large debt since James promised to help them with payments after he received his inheritance. Sarah was so sure about James's future with Kelly's family that they not only mortgaged the house, but also took out additional loans to refurbish it and purchase a vacation home on Cape Cod. Sarah had been gloating to my mother about their restoration plans during the wedding preparations, which led me to this discovery. My mother mentioned this to me while we were sorting through wedding gifts that needed to be returned. Curious about how they could afford such expensive upgrades, I inquired. One of Tom's colleagues informed me about the mortgage predicament, stating that he had cautioned Tom against it. But it isn't the most devastating part. Emily, one of my bridesmaids who works at the wedding venue, visited me yesterday. She seemed uneasy and admitted to withholding something from me. She disclosed that James' parents had known about his intention to abandon me at the altar for weeks. They didn't just know. They actively helped him plan the entire affair. Emily overheard Sarah talking about the idea with the venue planner 3 weeks before the wedding. Sarah inquired about their cancellation policy and whether they might receive a partial refund if the wedding was called off at the last minute. The coordinator noticed something weird and told it to Emily, but they assumed it was just an anxious mother-in-law being meticulous. Sarah and James had planned this for more than a month. They continued to encourage me to spend more on deposits that they knew would be lost. Sarah even persuaded me to enhance the floral arrangements 2 days before the wedding, knowing full well that her son would not attend. She assisted me in selecting additional decorations and even suggested that I purchase a more expensive wedding gown, all while being aware of their plans. The more I study, the worse I feel. They sat there at family meals, assisted with wedding preparations, and claimed to be enthused about our future together, all the while preparing to embarrass me in front of everyone I know. I visited with Tom's lawyer again yesterday, and he revealed even more frightening details concerning James. This was not his first experience doing something like this. The lawyer provided me documentation of James's previous engagements to 2 other women. Both engagements ended in identical ways, with James leaving for someone he believed would be more advantageous to his future. The first was Rachel, his college sweetheart. They were engaged during their senior year until James met a tech executive's daughter at a career fair. He ended their engagement by email and began dating the executive's daughter a week later. That romance ended when he found she was not as close to her father as he had imagined. The second person was Amanda, who worked at his first job. They were engaged for 6 months until James learned that her family's business was faltering. He left her for a woman whose father served on the board of a major firm. That romance also failed when the woman's father expressed his disapproval of James. Tom had been gathering this material for several months. He engaged a private investigator, who discovered James' practice of exploiting women for social and financial benefit. This research is what prompted Tom to change his will. The lawyer showed me images, emails, and text messages proving James had been plotting to leave me since he met Kelly at the tennis club. But today provided the biggest surprise. Kelly arrived at my apartment crying. She discovered messages on James' phone while he was showering. The communications revealed that James was already chasing Emily, her wealthy cousin who is destined to inherit her family's multi-million-dollar technology company. Emily evidently visits from California every summer, and James had planned to meet her on her next visit. Kelly was devastated. She showed me all of the texts, including talks between James and Sarah that criticized Kelly and myself. They referred to us as stepping stones along James' route to achievement. Sarah even recommended specific strategies for James to acquire Emily's trust, such as using his friendship with Kelly. The communications also revealed that Sarah had suggested James join the tennis club where Kelly played, knowing they'd meet there. She had planned the entire event, from fostering their friendship to arranging early morning practice sessions where they could meet without my knowledge. Since Kelly left James, Sarah has been phoning me non-stop. She's probably hoping to persuade me to accept James back after his plan with Kelly went through. Every time she called, I let it go to voicemail. Her texts have shifted from nasty to desperate, imploring me to speak with her. She has no idea about the will, nor do I know about their role in destroying my wedding day. The lawyer recommended that I keep my fortune a secret for the time being. There are still some legal steps to go through, And he believes it is best if James and Sarah are unaware of the will until it is finalized. He's scared they'll try to contest it if they find out too soon. Kelly and I talked for hours today. She profusely apologized for her role in everything, claiming she had no knowledge of James's background or plans to pursue her cousin. She believed he had fallen in love with her and abandoned me because of his sentiments. Finding those notes made her realize she was merely a piece in his game. I am still processing all of this information. Every day seems to reveal something new about the folks I thought I knew and trusted. According to the lawyer, we should have all of the inheritance documentation in order within a few weeks. Until then, I'm simply trying to keep my head above water while resisting the impulse to reveal everything I know about James and his mother. Update. This week, everything detonated in the worst conceivable way. James' parents learned about the inheritance predicament during a meeting with their bank. They were attempting to obtain another loan using the family business as collateral for further house upgrades. The bank notified them that they no longer possessed any rights to the company or its assets. Sarah appears to have had a total collapse right in the bank. Sarah arrived at my workplace, screaming. She got past security by claiming to be my mother-in-law and started causing a commotion in the middle of the workplace. She raged at me for manipulating Tom and stealing their family legacy. My coworkers had to summon security to remove her, but not before she informed everyone that James had abandoned me at the altar. I had been keeping it quiet at work, telling everyone that the wedding had been postponed. After Sarah's outburst, James began phoning and messaging nonstop. His messages alternated between begging pardon and accusing me of wrecking his family. He stated he made a tremendous mistake by leaving me and that he still loved me. According to him, Kelly meant nothing, and he only left because he was afraid of commitment. This dramatic change of heart occurred shortly after Kelly moved out, and his efforts to contact her cousin Emily had failed terribly. Kelly informed me that Emily had laughed when James attempted to ask her out. She had already learned everything about him from Kelly and alerted their entire extended family about his actions. James is now unable to access the family business that he was so interested in. Tom eventually ended his quiet this week. He organized a family meeting at his place, inviting Kelly's parents, who had been close family friends for years. Tom revealed everything, including the private investigator's findings, James' pattern with his ex-fiancées, and Sarah's role in allowing his behavior. He explained why he had modified his will, providing everyone the information he had obtained about James and Sarah's scheme. Sarah burst into tears when Tom told her that their home will be foreclosed in a matter of weeks. They had taken out numerous loans, banking on James' fortune to pay them off. They were now drowning in debt, unable to make their payments. Their flawless plan had gone totally wrong. James attempted to explain himself, claiming that he was under pressure from his mother to find someone affluent. Tom pulled out printed copies of James' messages to Sarah, revealing that he had boasted about influencing both Kelly and myself. There were communications discussing how he intended to exploit Kelly's family ties to meet Emily and how he had estimated how much he might profit from each relationship. The most alarming discovery was that Sarah had produced thorough spreadsheets comparing the possible financial benefits of James being with me, Kelly, and Emily. She had kept track of everything, including our family income and possible business contacts. Kelly's father was upset when he discovered this, especially since Sarah was one of his wife's closest friends. James' parents had been pleading with me for forgiveness since the bank began the foreclosure process. Sarah sends lengthy emails describing how she was simply trying to be a good mother and got carried away with wanting the best for her baby. She promised a public apology and even proposed revealing everything to my parents. James took a different strategy. He came up at my place last night with his grandmother's ring, which I had returned following the botched wedding. He urged that we get back together and solve things. He suggested we operate the family business jointly and help his parents keep their home. He appeared to have entirely forgotten that he had humiliated me and plotted everything with his mother. I did not let him in. I spoke with him through the door and warned him to leave before I called the police. He became enraged, accusing me of being cruel and heartless, of ripping his family apart over a single mistake, one that he and his mother had planned months in advance. It had cost my family thousands of dollars in wedding deposits while also humiliating me in front of everyone I knew. Tom called me thereafter to apologize for James' appearance. He stated that he is working with his lawyer to obtain a restraining order against both James and Sarah to protect me. Kelly's father is also assisting, using his contacts to ensure James cannot find another job in the IT business in our area. It's a tiny consolation to know that there are still nice people in this mess. Update 2. After months of legal back and forth, the inheritance has finally been settled. I used a portion of it to launch a profitable branch of the family firm focused on sustainable technology solutions, which Tom had always wanted to pursue but Sarah and James had resisted. Tom has been a great mentor throughout this process, teaching me everything I need to know about the business and connecting me to all of his industry contacts. James attempted to dispute the will in court, saying that I misled his father when he was mentally sick. That backfired dramatically when all of his previous actions were used as proof. The private investigator Tom hired testified about James' pattern with his ex-fiancées, and Rachel and Amanda stepped forward to tell their stories. The judge not only dismissed James' claim, but also ordered him to pay all legal costs. James' parents had to leave their family home last month. They now reside in a small rental flat on the outskirts of the city. Sarah still attempts to reach out on occasion, usually after drinking too much. Her messages alternate between asking pardon and accusing me for wrecking their life. I've blocked her phone number, but she keeps using new email addresses to reach me. James struck rock bottom when Kelly's father exposed his actions to the whole IT world. He had to take an entry-level customer service position at a tiny company outside of town. Last I heard, he was still living with a roommate and working for Uber on weekends to make ends meet. He attempted to apologize to Kelly's family in the hopes of re-establishing those links, but they refused to speak with him. The karma did not end there. Emily, Kelly's cousin, whom James attempted to pursue, ended up dating and just became engaged to Kelly's brother Mark. They now operate the IT firm that James was so interested in, and it is more prosperous than before. Kelly has become a good friend. We meet for coffee on a regular basis and occasionally joke at how we both manage to avoid James' manipulation. Tom has been my staunchest supporter throughout this entire process. He believes that watching me succeed with the company has helped him deal with his disappointment in James. We've grown the business by 40% in just 6 months, and our new sustainable tech segment is attracting the attention of major investors. Tom recently told me that revising his will was the best decision he'd ever made. I've utilized a portion of my fortune to establish a foundation that assists those who have been financially harmed by broken engagements. We reimburse lost wedding deposits and give legal assistance when needed. Rachel and Amanda now work with the foundation, sharing their story to help others recognize the warning signs we all overlooked with James. Following James's unsuccessful challenge to the will, the court issued an order prohibiting him from having any involvement in the family firm or charity indefinitely. He tried to argue that this was unfair, but given the evidence of his previous actions, the judge was unimpressed. My personal life is currently better than it would have been if I had married James. I've started dating again, but I'm taking things cautiously. My parents are proud of how I've handled everything, and watching the company prosper under my leadership has helped them move over their resentment over the wedding tragedy. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if James had been honest from the start. But then I recall what Tom told me: sometimes the worst things that happen to us are actually blessings in disguise. He was correct. Losing James inspired me to discover my own strength, pursue a great career, and create something significant to benefit others. That is worth more than any wedding could have been.
Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.